house cleaning, and we're going to go get into the presentation. So who am I? I am, like I said, Kim McDonald, but I am just like you. I'm a physical being with a soul, a spirit, a mind, a body. Sometimes I'm not at my best physically or mentally, and sometimes I'm in a flow state where I feel like everything is just perfect. But because I'm physical and you're physical, we can't stay perfect all the time. And our whole life's journey is getting into that balance more often and quicker. And so that's what we're going to talk about, is how to bring our lives into balance. So who am I to society? I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I have kids. Those are my 2 kids. I have sisters, more than one. And there's my husband, David, who's being supportive. And I'm a grandma, I'm a Mimi. So there's my little family, my son's family. And then I'm also a transformational life coach, author, holistic health and spiritual counselor. I have my website where there's lots of free information that you can tap into. So that's the Facebook version of me, right? The pretty pictures when everything's going great. But what you don't see is what it took to get to those pictures, right? We don't put that out on Facebook. We don't put the years of suffering on Facebook or the days where we're not, our best. But I want to be relatable to you. I want you to understand that there is struggles in everyone's lives. And the more I go in this journey of life, I realize how closely related we really all are. Whether you're the woman that I interviewed from Pakistan that lost her son, that's a totally different world than the world I live in here in Louisiana. But I felt very connected to her and her story. Whether you live on the West Bank of Louisiana or the South Shore or the North Shore, we're all connected. Whether you're a man or a woman, we all are connected by the energy we share, the feelings that we have, whether we're allowing them to come out or suppressing them. But we're different in the biggest way by what was implanted in us, both cellularly from birth and passed on to us from fixed dogma and principles, maybe from religious aspects or school or just political thoughts of your family, whatever it is. Society kind of puts us in a box, and we want to stay in that lane and feel safe in that lane. And we don't like to go outside of that box because we're scared of judgment, shame, or not feeling a part of something. So we're going to get rid of the box tonight. We're going to go deep into, if you've read the book, you'll know that there's questions that I asked to help you realize, are these even your thoughts and feelings, or are they someone else's? So we're going to talk about that tonight. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the box that I put myself in. Most of my life, I was a people pleaser, and I avoided conflict. I did not like to engage in conflict, yet it was all around me. I see my lovely sister on here tonight, but my sister and I fought all the time. My parents divorced when I was only 6. My mom wasn't happy about that. So there was a lot of conflict for a people pleaser. And I thought I was supposed to be in control of how people felt. And if I could, be peaceful, then they would be peaceful. And I craved that peace. So does anyone else identify with that need to please and avoid conflict? Just in the message, just type yes for me and just let me know that I'm on the right page. I appreciate that. Yes. Okay, they're pouring in, guys. We're all have that need for peace. We all crave peace. And, this picture of the girl sitting on the couch, I can so relate to wanting to throw a party and inviting all the right guests and having all the right food and just killing myself to please everyone and not even delegating because I didn't even trust anyone to do it as well as I was going to do it, or it would be too hard to explain to them what I wanted and fear of letting go of control of how I wanted it to go. So I would have this party and everybody would come and everybody would be having a great time, and before you knew it, it was over, and I didn't talk to one person more than, hi, and can I get you anything? Has anyone else felt like that or done that to themselves? Or maybe it's the time when you volunteer to be the room mom and no one wants to volunteer to help you. And so you end up doing all the activities for the kindergarten class the whole year. That was me. Yeah. I felt like since I wasn't working, I was supposed to do all these things. Because when I was working, that didn't work for my husband or me. I was resentful. I'd come home, I had to cook, I had to clean, I had to prepare everything for everyone to make everything go just right. Well, guess what that got me? Got me sick, overwhelmed, exhausted, and stressed. So yes, I see, I see everyone relating to that. And that doesn't mean everyone on this call is going to be a people pleaser. That doesn't mean everyone on this call can identify with that. There's different types of personalities. And recently, I'd studied a personality test called the Enneagram and read a book, and that was really eye-opening. I was able to sort out my whole family and their personality types. We all have different temperaments. We all have different ways that we approach things, think of things, and assess life. And some of those things are our temperament. And some of them are, like I said, that box that we put ourselves in, those old feelings and teachings that maybe not serving us anymore. So you don't want to be the one at the end of the party upset that you didn't have a good time, that you didn't engage the way you wanted to, that you feel taken advantage of when you were the one taking advantage of yourself. So I appreciate the feedback. So for me, getting sick was a costly journey. I'm sure I was sick in some sense my whole life, but once I turned 30, things did take a physical turn to where I spent most of my time in doctor's offices, getting diagnoses with no cure. The big one came at 40 with a diagnosis of MS, but that wasn't the first one. I had a car accident that nearly killed me. I've since had neck surgery. I had a benign tumor in my ear removed. I spent years on antibiotics and steroids to try and get the tumor out. That didn't do well for my gut. I was pretty miserable, and I felt like I'd be dead by 50, and I would be okay with that because that's how much pain I was in. I wasn't living a full life. I was existing in pain. So the hammer that hit me over the head with MS, that was a pretty big eye-opener. It was like, you have to make a choice. Do you want to stay on this route of going to the doctors, getting prescriptions, getting side effects, getting off of that one, trying another one, the next step was interferons. And luckily, I had seen someone who took interferons change drastically. And they went from being a loving, sweet soul to being very angry. And that was a side effect of the drug. And I said, well, if I'm going to be miserable, I don't want to be mean and miserable. So I'm just going to do something else. So my need to please and not be mean actually saved me from going that route. So it was a blessing in this case. So what I did instead was turn to holistic medicine. And I was introduced to a whole new way of thinking, feeling, being, by being given direction on what to take out and what to put in. Take out the toxins in the form of the chemical exposure from lotions, creams, makeup, hair care, food that wasn't good for me. And let me just say, not everybody belongs on the same diet, but for me, a Whole30 type of diet would be the closest related to what I do. I avoid gluten, I avoid leptins. But my dear sister Leslie is on this call, and I'd say about 5 years before I found out that I shouldn't eat it, she told me, hey, I read this article and I really think you're gluten intolerant. And that was the new buzzword. And I looked into it and I was like, oh, but I couldn't eat anything. And I remember Whole Foods had just opened and I went there and I thought, okay, well, I'll try this and see if it works. But I was like, well, I can't eat anything. So I'm just not going to do it. And I didn't. And I got sicker and sicker. So here I am at this holistic endeavor of it's do or die. I've got to do something. And I did. I gave up the foods that were inflaming my body. I gave up so many things that were toxic to me, and I put in what I call God's medicine, things that he gave us and provided us to get healthier. And that did include my Young Living oils, Bach flowers, homeopathic supplements, because I needed something when I didn't feel good. I needed something when I had a headache. But those quickly dissipated. I went from, having my husband have to drag me to the hospital, not able to walk or speak, nauseous, to get an injection that I knew I was allergic to, but it took away the headache pain. I went from that state of existence to losing 25 pounds in 2 months, ridding myself of headaches, and feeling like a human again and being hopeful again. So has anyone had a health journey to where they feel, or are they on a health journey where they feel like there's no hope, where they feel like they're on this roller coaster ride of doctor visits, prescriptions, confusion, maybe they're depressed, or do you have a child that's depressed? Do you feel hopeless in helping your child or your spouse? Give me a yes if any of you are experiencing any of this hopelessness related to physical ailments, and that includes depression, anxiety. If you feel crippled by pain, crippled by anxiety, crippled by depression, please just say yes for me. You don't have to explain it. I'm not going to call you out on it. I just want to know if this is something that relates to you. Great. I appreciate that comment. Okay, so we're going to move on. So how did I overcome? It wasn't just the plants being put in and the healthy organic foods and the oils and the Bach flowers. I had to learn to let go. I realized, I needed to help myself before I could help others. And a lot of my self-worth came from what I was doing for others, who I was being for them, who I was showing up for them to be. And I had to learn that I was enough without that, and that they were going to give me the respect based on me respecting myself. So I learned to let go of my need to please. So I had to stop pouring from an empty cup. I had to fill my cup first. And I didn't need the excuse that I was sick to do it, which is really what my illness was all about. I was so exhausted from trying to be everything to everyone that I stopped being what I needed for me. And that caused the dis-ease to set in. So I'm here talking to you about this transparently so that I can help save you from that unacknowledgement of self. So I realized quite quickly on my journey, maybe even subconsciously before I went into my journey to holistic health, that my mental and physical and spiritual were all intertwined. So guess what? So is yours. The physical symptoms are an outward sign that something's going on inside that's not okay. And it's there to tell you to get back into balance and how to do it. Some of us are more sensitive than others, so we feel things more. I would consider myself an empath. Has anyone seen somebody get hurt and they felt it in their body part? Maybe they stubbed their toe and you felt it in your toe. Just say yes for me, so I know. That is empathy. When I talk to a client and I can totally feel and understand what they're feeling to the point of I take it on, that's empathy. Learning how to protect myself from others' pain is crucial to me feeling balanced, because I can easily go there with somebody. And that's what makes me a good counselor, to be able to hold space for somebody and to validate them and to understand where they're coming from. But I can also, when I was unhealthy, get in the position of fixing, wanting to fix them, wanting to heal them and help them feel better. So I had to realize that that wasn't going to make me feel better. And I had to put my health in front of anything else. So learning to say no. That was a hard one for me. I remember watching Oprah when I was younger and home with my now 25-year-old, and Oprah would come on and she talked about being a people pleaser, and she talked about not being able to say no. And I so resonate with that now, but I don't think I was able to even understand it so much then. You know, you're only ready to hear what you're ready to hear, and you're only ready to know and implement what you're ready to, know and implement. So being able to say no and set healthy boundaries was foreign to me. That wasn't the programming that I came with. I came, and most of us, you can give me a shout out if this is you. You were told, I'm 47, so my generation was told to look pretty, act pretty, be sweet, and, pay attention, get good grades, adhere to the system, and don't buck the system. And you were labeled as bad things if you did, and you can probably hear that in our language today. If somebody's not dressed the way you think they should be for a certain situation, we judge as a society. We judge people based on what we think about ourselves. Well, I would never do that. And I would never show up like that. And I'm going to pick on my sister again. We were talking about this the other day. When she was younger, I thought she bucked the system a lot, and that made me uncomfortable. She went through her Madonna phase where she had the glove on her hand, and I just felt so embarrassed by that. So I was always the one that didn't buck the system, that stayed in my lane, and I looked at people that did as rebels, as bad people, that they should be in check doing the right thing. And so I really formed that opinionated, judgmental, right or wrong from an early age of wanting to please and make things comfortable. Again, searching for that inner peace, because I was so sensitive that I felt like I was never at peace. So learning how to say no and not please others to please myself was a foreign concept. And I didn't need the excuses of being sick to say no. I didn't need the excuses of being sick to not get involved in other people's business and to not rush in and save or help. There's plenty of people that are healthy to do that. And I didn't have to be sick in dis-ease to recognize that I needed to put the mask on me for a little while longer before I could help others. So if you're in that situation where you feel like you are constantly putting yourself in front of other people's problems to be there for them, and that you have to be there. And I don't care if it's a relative, it's the same thing. Even if it's your own child, we make things about us, and they resent that, and they don't get better until we get out of the way. So, it's not about you. That's a chapter in my book that I really want to make sure you understand. When I say it's not about you, sometimes you are expressing yourself, which is hard to do sometimes, express your feelings and be vulnerable, and somebody gets angry or somebody shows you a side of them that makes you feel that they don't understand. Sometimes it's not about you. It's about what they're going through. If you're owning your truth and you're sharing, then you should be able to share freely and say, this is how this makes me feel. And one thing I've learned from my years of being a people pleaser and not expressing myself and getting sick, if I don't say how I'm feeling when somebody does say something that I catch as offensive or I catch as, something that's not healthy for me, and it's somebody that I love and I have to be in relationship with. Of course, if it's somebody that you are on the internet with, you don't need to say anything. Don't engage, don't discuss. But if it's your husband or your child and they say something, it's okay to say, what you just said made me feel like this. Is that what you were trying to do, or did I misunderstand? Because sometimes what they're going through, if you put that wall up because you think it's about you, you rob them of that opportunity to share with you and open up to you. And I see this a lot with teens. There's so much division with a teenage angst in a mom or a dad and wanting them to do their work or get off their phone or things like that. We're so busy telling them what they should and shouldn't do and not stopping to think what's going on with them and help them open up and hold space for them. So when they're acting out, don't assume you know what it's about. Ask questions to get answers, and do that for yourself when you're feeling like someone is not treating you the way you want to be treated and their energy is not loving and kind. We all have a darkness in us, and it shows up when we're not in balance. And if you are in balance and think, okay, I didn't do anything that deserves this, so I'm going to call it out and see what it's about, to help that person see what I'm seeing. Not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's how we communicate and how we don't suppress how that's making us feel and get sick. Okay, I'm seeing some great comments of things that people have gone through and where they've applied this or could have applied this. I love it. Great. I'm going to read a couple of these just so you know. Yes, you won't believe that this is what I was struggling, especially for the past 2 days. And I opened the link and you were talking about physical health. That's amazing. It's all connected. Your physical and mental and spiritual you're all one body. That was the first screen that I showed for a reason. Yes, somebody's talking about their child has anxiety. Letting go is hard because pleasing others keeps an even mood, and I need that. Yes. Yes, it doesn't keep an even mood with you, trust me. And it keeps things stagnant. It keeps things from moving in a flow, and it keeps you in control playing God. And you're not God, guess what? Always label the loud one with your siblings. Yeah, we get labeled. We get, and then we get labeled in an ugly way, and then we don't know what that really means. Like, what's the problem with that, right? Somebody had the same discussion because somebody's going through it with their daughter. Yeah. Yes, it does suck the life out of you. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna give you some tools. All right. Biggest tool, know yourself. To know thyself is to love thyself. And I would add to see the face of God. You know, there's a God within all of us. You know, he made us. I don't care what your religion is. You're part of a bigger purpose and plan. And everyone has, like I said, that balance point when they're in that flow and they feel good, and then they have that unbalanced point. And our goal is to stay in balance more often than we stay out of balance. And it does impact the physical, spiritual, mental health. So knowing what gets you off balance, knowing your triggers, whether it's, I call this your epigenetics. What you put in and on your body is one thing. We talked about that. That's, things that can physically trigger you, but then that physical trigger turns into a mental trigger because you have brain fog and, you have a short temper, maybe you have heart palpitations with that anxiety. All these things can manifest in physical symptoms, but it's not just what you're putting in and on your body in the form of chemicals and toxins. I could do a whole class on that. I know most of you are on here probably are knowledgeable about things you should stay away from, but knowing those things, but then also knowing those toxic thoughts and emotions, from past traumas. And, sometimes they're not even your traumas. It's something you were exposed to in womb or, from generations past, triggers. Like one of mine is, I don't like the plans to change. And I know, like, if somebody wakes me up and I'm not ready to wake up, I'm a little grumpy. I know that's a trigger for me. I know there are things that show up with my husband's personality that bring me back to less good times and remind me of some painful times. And so when that happens, I have to say, hey, I'm feeling like this, so that we can see where's that coming from, and we can not attach the story to it that was the old story. So knowing your triggers and then using the tools to get you untriggered. So one of them is, don't engage, don't respond. If you see something or hear something and it makes you release those chemicals in your body, those are toxic hormones and you feel them. It feels like your blood pressure's rising. It feels like you get a heat wave. You feel like you just want to attack. Not good. Not good to engage and respond when triggered. Nothing good can come. The carnage lying there will come back to haunt you. So, not a good idea. I have here journaling and burning. What does that mean? Well, because I don't want you to engage when you're hot-headed, especially on your kids or on your husband or people you love or on Facebook or, in a public forum where you'll feel guilty and shameful after because you didn't come off the way you wanted to. And that's not saying not to express your feelings. I am all about expressing your feelings in a healthy way. But when you're triggered, that means your body is releasing chemicals and you're not rational. And it's kind of like PMS for you ladies on this. I know there's some men, but you're just not yourself. That's because there's more chemicals releasing in the form of the toxins that come with your period. Just is. Same thing happens at menopause. I joked with my husband when we were dating that he had a time of the month too. He just seemed grumpier. So they have their own thing. Everybody has triggers. And so knowing them, you can kind of not dismiss yourself, but say, I'm going to sit on this one and see how I feel in 24 hours. And how do you get through those 24 hours? Journal. Journal your feelings and see what the story you're telling yourself is versus what reality is. Because sometimes the story in that moment seems real, but when you talk it out with yourself, it's actually inflated and it's based on past feelings. So journaling really helps you. And then I say burn it, rip it, get rid of it, because the last thing you want to do is have your spouse or your children or somebody reading that, because it is all the bad stuff coming out on that paper. Because I don't want it in here. I want it out there onto paper and then ripping it up or burning it and getting rid of it. So it's not causing ill in your atmosphere, ill to other people, because unfortunately, law of quantum physics, that's coming right back at you, okay? You don't have to be a physicist to understand this. It is the boomerang effect. What you put out there comes back at you, so make it good. So journal, burn it. And then, Mel Robbins came out with the 5-4-3-2-1 method. How many of you, have heard her TED Talk or seen her in person at the Young Living Convention? Mel Robbins. She does the 5-4-3-2-1. Just give me a yes if y'all seen it. Yeah, she's awesome. So I have been doing a little bit of Mel Robbins before Mel Robbins put this out there. And so some of my children who I've counseled, when kids get triggered, they might do something that's inappropriate, like bite at school or hit or yell at an authority figure. And it's just not acceptable behavior. So I teach the kids how to have an angry pillow in their room. When they want to hit their sister, if the issue is they're fighting, go and yell and scream and bite and pinch and, throw down with that pillow and get it all out. And then I tell mom to have a bottle of sage and distilled water to spray on that pillow to release that negative energy. Sage is great for that. I tell them, get a soccer ball, a volleyball, bounce it off the top of your head. Get that aggression out in a healthy way. Bounce it against the wall as hard as you can. Bounce it against the concrete as hard as you can. Have a safe ball that you can physically release your stress on. Because what's happening when you release those chemical hormones, kids don't know how to control themselves. And when they're angry, they're angry. And so if they have these tools and they realize, wow, when I use that tool, I feel better, and then I don't get in trouble. And then I don't feel ashamed of myself for hitting, screaming, and I'm labeled as this bad child. So that's the tools I would give them. And I would tell them, you're like a firework, that the wick is burning, and when it gets to the top, you explode. And so Mel Robbins kind of doing the same thing. She just got famous, right? But she's saying 5-4-3-2-1, everything. So if you want that Diet Coke and you're not supposed to have it, or it's making you sick, 5-4-3-2-1, I'm not going to have it. What she's talking about is the way it changes the neural pathways in your brain, that pain, pleasure response that we have. And what I would say to this is, I have a little story. Fear drives our decisions a lot of time. We're looking to make ourselves comfortable, and that's what drives a lot of people to codependent behaviors, like, over drinking or overeating, or being in a toxic relationship because they think that they can't leave. Many codependencies, sugar addiction, addiction to going out, addiction to Netflix, addiction to video games. That's really just what we use to make ourselves feel better and avoid that conflict, or avoid doing something, changing something. And I think that's the story Mel Robbins talks about, is not wanting to get out of bed and do what she knew that would make her feel better. If you feel better when you work out every morning, what's stopping you from working out? Your brain is. Your brain is stopping you, and you need to trick your brain. So the story I can relate this to is my grandson recently, he's 2, and we were in the hot tub having a great time, and he wouldn't get in. And I'm like, he has no cellular memory in this lifetime of any fear with pools. Why doesn't he want to get in? He can stand right here where we're at. He can stand. And so I told him, I tried to reason with him, and he did not want to have it. So he sat there for 40 minutes. He was cold, and he was just watching us have fun, and we were talking to him. And so I held him by the waist, and I said, William, Mimi's going to put you in the pool. You can stand up. And I kind of eased him in, and I said, it's okay. You can stand up. And the whole time he's going, no, I'm not. I get out. I said, no, William, you're fine. You can stand in the pool. See, you're standing in the pool. You're right in front of Mimi. You're standing. No, I get out. I could not rationalize with him, even though he was standing and I was holding on to him. No rationalization. So I said, okay, William, you can get out, but let's count to 3 first. Because, a 2-year-old counting forward is just as hard as counting backwards. So I wasn't going to do the Mel Robbins. I was going to do the Kim McDonald. I said, let's count to 3 and you can get out. And he said, no, I get out. And I said, okay, but let's count to 3 first. 1, 2, come on, William, count with me. 1, and he started counting. And by the time he got to 3, he says, I'm splashing. Just like that, he flipped his switch, and he was happy in the pool. He stayed in the pool with us for over an hour. We went back in the next day. No fear, nothing. He went in the pool and had fun. One time to redirect his brain. We do this with dogs. They're chewing your carpet, you give them a bone. You redirect their attention. You change the pattern. So we need this as adults, okay? We need the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or whatever you want to call it. You need redirection. If you're stuck in ruminating thoughts that you just can't see your way out of, you need to change the subject in your head. You need to redirect, okay? So journal, burn, redirect, count backwards. Don't engage and respond with your chemical chaos. Let it settle, let it dissipate. And you do this by going to the breath. And my 16-year-old does this beautifully. She's teaching others to do this. Anyone can learn this. Stop before you speak and breathe. And what comes out of your mouth will be so much better for everyone. And maybe you won't even say it. So I feel better. I'm not even stressed. All right, so we're going to have a breathing break. Everybody take a deep breath in through your nose. Blow it out your mouth and let your shoulders drop. Let everything just release. And just feel less stress. This literally can change your brain. Breath. Guess why? You need oxygen. And when you're tight and you're stressed and you're angry, there's nothing flowing up there but the toxins. So breathe. And then back to what I was saying. If you feel something, go ahead and say, what you just said made me feel like this. Is that what you meant? So then you can speak your truth. And I'll give you a little example. I'm going to throw David under the bus. But we didn't discuss this either, so I should have. But I think he's okay because he's heard me say this before. There was a time when I made everything about me. And so this is really relating to that It's Not About You chapter. And we were in the car. We were collecting bags for the hungry, and we had to go pull into a neighbor's house. And they said, oh, can we take a picture with the trunks open with all the bags? So David hopped back in the car to move the car and, you know, get it situated with the other car. And he had the window rolled up, and he was pointing at me angrily. And I thought he wanted me to move a car seat that had been there. And I said, the car seat's gone. It's not there. And he did it again, really angrily. And I was like, I don't know what you're saying. There's nothing there. And I was like, roll your window down, because he was just so angry. And it was kind of inappropriate. And so he finally rolled the window down, and he very angrily said, am I going to hit their lawn? And I was like, no. I was like, never mind. The girl moved back. So she had lined up the car. So we got out, took the picture, got back in the car, and I did what I'm telling you to do. I owned my truth. I said, hey, you know, did you expect that I could hear you through a closed window? Because I was feeling like I did something wrong. You were so mad. And he's like, well, I'm sorry, I'm not perfect like you. Okay. Who's heard that from their husband or their spouse? Who, when they do say how they feel, gets some kind of answer like that? Anybody? Am I alone here? Go ahead and type me a yes. Just a yes. Make me feel like I'm not alone. When you try and own your voice, do you get stopped? Does somebody tell you you're wrong, or belittle you and say, stop trying to be so perfect, or whatever? Anything that that makes you feel like you can't own your truth. Okay. Thank you. Thank you all. I appreciate it. So instead of making it about me and getting triggered by that and feeling little, I said, this isn't about me. I said, something made you that angry. Can you go back 10 seconds before you did that and tell me what you were thinking? And he looked up and he said, I was embarrassed. I thought I was going to roll over their lawn, and everybody was waiting for me to move the car. I was like, okay. I said, and then when did that happen in your life? When did you feel like everybody was waiting on you and you got in trouble or something negative happened? This is a real learning experience. When I stopped making it about me and got my feelings hurt because he was defensive, and I saw his defensiveness as a cry for help and a not knowing why he acts in this narcissistic way, I was able to speak truth and help him own his truth in that situation. It was a real aha moment. That's where I want you all to get in your relationships. I want you to be able to say what you feel without aggression, without emotional, drama, but say, I'm in this situation. I don't feel like I deserve that. And I'm certain that I didn't trigger you. But did I do something? Be on the offense. This is called a carefrontation, not a confrontation. Holding space for somebody else to see what you see in them so that you're not too hurting people. Because he was hurt in that moment. And if I had taken his comment of, I'm sorry, I'm not perfect like you, as a defense to go back into and say, oh, hell no, you're not getting away with that. You can't treat me like that and then tell me I'm too perfect. I'm trying to say how this made me feel. So that's healthy. Suppressing how I felt in that moment, not healthy. Now, did I wait to say something? Yes. My daughter was actually in the car and we dropped her off somewhere. So I had time to think. I had time to breathe. I had time to calm my toxins down and realize, okay, yeah, you didn't do anything. This was not a situation where you were being, a witch or being, disrespectful. This was just, I didn't understand you. Were you mad that you didn't understand me or that I didn't understand you? What's the deal there? So this is what I want to get to with taking the time to assess the situation and realize it's not about you, and then correct what's there. Okay. So own your truth. Own your truth. So setting healthy boundaries. I want you guys to do a little work right now. I want you to go ahead and just take, if you have a pen and paper, you can write this down or just think about it. Where can you set healthy boundaries? Where do you feel like you have to be everything to everyone? Where are you overextended in life? Are you pulled in too many directions and not being effective? Are you in a codependent relationship? Whether it's with food or a person or any, thing that you're using to numb the pain and not really deal with the issues that are there in your house or in your family or in your body. And back to the pulled in too many directions, I see a lot of moms that, they come and they want me to fix their children. And honestly, they're part of the problem. We live in a society where, we want our kids to experience all the things that we didn't get to, but that comes at a price of exhaustion for us and them. And there comes a time when, you have to sit down and say, we're giving up, meals, we're giving up, time together as a family to do all these activities, and the child doesn't even want to anymore. They're so miserable and they're so sick and they're so exhausted, and you're cranky and you're wanting them to be a certain way and show up a certain way, and they physically can't anymore. So add that into that when you think about that. Where are you overextending yourself and possibly your children? Because that is a common one I see often with my clients. And I always make my clients get help when they bring their kids, because it is a family affair. So just think about it. Jot this down, take a picture of it, work on this later. I really want you to dig deep into these areas and see where you're possibly doing things out of obligation or a feeling of being needed, or to avoid something you're not dealing with. Okay, so we talked about, where our beliefs come from. And I talk about this a lot in the book. I want you to really go back, and regress and see, those times when you say, oh my gosh, I sound just like my mother. Well, you do. It's because you do. And that's not bad if you have a great mother. We all have great mothers and fathers, but we don't want to be them, and maybe we don't have a great mother or father and we really don't want to be them. But either way, they're in you cellularly, and they're in you because, they raised you, and they raised you with their feelings and their beliefs and their knee-jerk reactions. And that's what we're trying not to do to our kids. We're not wanting to repeat any bad behavior and just the good ones. But it's really hard because that's the programming you got. So kind of like the Matrix, is it time to take out that program and put a new one in? I'll tell you a little personal story. My daughter is now being homeschooled this year. She chose that at 16 years old. And I honestly am so proud of her for being able to stop something in her life that was toxic and know that what she wanted and needed was this more balanced system. And it's been beautiful. And I think I would have been afraid to tell other people before that my daughter chose to homeschool during high school. And now I'm so proud of her for honoring herself and doing what she needs to take care of herself. Now she's able to have a job. So she works 16 hours a week in a great, healthy location where she's learning how to cook healthy foods and drinks and smoothies. And she's learning the responsibility of having a job. She would have never been able to do that with, her schedule before. She's still playing her volleyball, which is almost nightly. And she's taken a theater class, and she's working on her album because she's a musician and she's really gifted. So if I had stayed in that box of you have to go to school and you have to go to this kind of school and you have to, do this, this, and this, I would have taught her how not to honor herself and express herself. So if your kids are struggling and they don't think that they can come to you and talk to you about what they're struggling with, and they don't feel like there's any other way to do things, please let them know. You can always come to me and we will figure it out together. Hold space for them. Even if you don't know the answer, that's why you have people like me. Seek advice. Seek advice. I didn't know how to homeschool. And I didn't want it to affect me, but also wanted to honor her. So my husband and I did some homework and we figured it out. And she goes to a facility on Tuesdays and Thursdays for 3 hours and gets advanced math, physics, and English. And I don't have anything to do with it because she's 16 and she's self-motivated. It's a beautiful thing. And now she has all this other time to do all these other things and create a balance in her life. She's healthier than I've seen her in a long time because she got out of her head and started honoring her feelings, and she expressed what she needed from us. So where are your beliefs stopping you from doing what you kind of know you should do? You know, is it the fixed dogma and principles of the past, of your parents, of your religious organizations? Is it, you know, a trauma that's been passed down to you? A lot of people, I know somebody mentioned here birth trauma. You know, we see that. You know, for you guys that are on here that don't know, I run biofeedback scans. I'm a holistic health coach and a spiritual counselor. And with the scans, we can ask, you know, what happened? Tell me about your birth story. There even adoption stories. I mean, trauma at birth sticks with you and it's repeated. We see Katrina babies, kids that were born during the Katrina floods here in Louisiana. We see anxiety in them. 9/11 kids, we see that anxiety. What the parent was feeling while they were pregnant perpetuates in the child. So just like the study with the mice, where they put all the mice in the cage and they shock the mice in the maze at this certain point. 7 generations that followed, they weren't getting shocked anymore, but they didn't want to go near the spot where that parent mouse had gotten shocked. Something in their DNA transferred and they knew this space is not safe. Isn't that amazing? So some of the stuff you're feeling isn't even yours to feel. And so letting go of those generational traumas and curses on a cellular level is so important, and I can help you do that. And then not taking on other people's stories, you know, not repeating stories. Another personal one for me, you know, I got pregnant at 21 with the man sitting next to me who's been married to me for almost 27 years. But at the time we weren't married, you know, we had been dating for 6 years, but for years, my mom's story was, don't you get pregnant and don't you let a man take care of you. I heard that over and over and over again. Anybody else have a similar situation where, not that you got pregnant, but your mom repeated something over and over again that she didn't want you repeating in your life that she had done in hers? Or your father, you know, don't you drop out of school. You got to get your degree because I didn't get mine. And, you know, look how hard it's been. These are those stories that aren't even ours, but we attach to them. And sometimes they come true. You know, what you repel and what you worry about actually comes true. So don't put your story on somebody else. Don't put your story on somebody else. I am so grateful my life turned out the way it did. And when my son told me that he was going to have his first child, I did the opposite of my mom. And I love my mom, and she knows this story, but I knew what she said to me hurt so deeply when I got pregnant for my son, who she adores and loves to death. But when he told me he was pregnant and he wasn't married, I changed the story for him. And I accepted his girlfriend and her daughter into our home, and I loved them, and I rewrote the story so that those children would feel nothing but love, and so that, you know, that unborn child wouldn't have any trauma inflicted on him by being in a hostile environment or feeling unwanted or unloved. And I'm so grateful that I was able to have that story with my mom so that I could change it for my son and my grandson and my daughter-in-law, you know, and now I have these 3 beautiful grandbabies. And I'm so grateful that I didn't cause any harm, that they wouldn't want to be around me or my energy. And And I'm grateful that I can tell you this story and not fear that my mom would be hurt by it, because my mom has healed in so many ways, and I have healed in so many ways, because it's not about holding other people accountable for years and not forgiving them. It's about understanding they did the best they could with what they had, and letting go and forgiving and not perpetuating that pain. Because everybody that hurts people is a hurting person. And my mom did the best with what she had. She had 3 kids when my dad left, and she had a hard time. And a lot of her stuff that she kept repeating was just trying to control what she felt out of control with. Where do we do that? Where, when we feel out of control, we want to control other people and control other situations and keep them from hurting like we hurt. We got to let go of those stories, because they will perpetuate. So don't attach our stories to other circumstances and give other people and assume that they're going through what we went through, because their perception could be completely different than yours. So I want you guys to take a moment and reflect on some things you repeat that are from your parents' fear, whether it's, stranger danger, political opinions, prejudices, your spiritual beliefs, or something more at home, things that you repeat. Write this one down, take a picture of it, and do some homework when you have more time. For right now, is everybody following me? Okay, I get some amens. I love it. Okay, kids are very sharp and cut you down real quick. Okay, I will speak to that one. People treat us how we allow them to treat us. And when kids are sharp and cut you down and you don't make it about you, you can turn that around into, hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on right now? What happened today? Anything you want to talk about? And when you do that, they can choose to talk to you, or they can blame it on you and just say, hey, I wasn't doing anything that deserved that. And it's not okay. It's not acceptable. I think you had a hard day, so I'm going to give you a pass, but you need to go think about that and don't come back and do that to me. I'm here for you if you want to talk about your hard day. I love you and I respect you, and I want you to respect me too. And that's what I do. That's when, when my daughter, she's 16, she can be hormonal. She can say things that are ugly. I quickly know that it's not about me. I know it's because she's got some toxins going. And I just say, hey, that's not okay. Let's talk about what's really going on. And I kind of retrace her steps. So it's kind of like journaling out loud with my daughter. Instead of her taking the time to journal, I kind of go backwards and ask her questions to lead her to her truth. And you can do that when people are in a predicament where they're overwhelmed and exhausted and they're just not thinking straight and they just want to yell and scream and have a fit. It's okay. That's human. And we don't want to shame and blame anybody for being human, but we also want to put a good boundary up and say, hey, that's not okay. I'm here to talk to you, but I'm not here to be beaten up by you. So let's see what this is really about. Okay. So I appreciate that you said that. Okay, if they say you wouldn't understand, so great, thank you, I appreciate that. Say, I bet you'd be surprised, why don't you try me? Don't let up. Don't let up. They're testing you. Hold space. And then embrace, because hugging takes those neurotoxins down completely, just like breathing does. So hold space and embrace. I just made that up, but I'm gonna write that one down. We all need hugs. We all need connection. And sometimes when we're so tense and tight and defensive, and somebody just says, hugs you, you just let go and you release. And that's really what they need. They need to release. So keep going. And if you want to get more help than that, you reach out, because I'm real good with teens, if I do say so myself. My daughter tells all her friends. So a real big part of my healing journey was changing my thoughts. And so I talked a lot about where your thoughts came from, but it's really hard to change those and, put that new implant in. So I want you to really feel what it means to your thoughts control your body. Physical, mental, stress is all controlled by how you perceive things. So you are what you think you are. So we're going to do a little exercise, and it involves closing your eyes. So everybody close their eyes. And I'm going to take you to your kitchen. And you're going to open your refrigerator. And there's a big, juicy, fresh lemon. And you're going to take that lemon and you're going to put it up to your nose, and you're going to smell the rind. And it smells very lemony. And you're going to open your mouth and you're going to bite into that sour, juicy lemon. And the flesh is going to go through your teeth. It's cold. And you're going to feel the drippings of that lemon go down your mouth. Now open your eyes. Who produced saliva when I talked about eating the lemon? Go ahead and put a yes to saliva or a thumbs up. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Okay, great. If you didn't, you just didn't get into it. Because when we think something, our body responds to that thought. So you just produced saliva, which is enzymes to break down that lemon you just figuratively ate. But you didn't eat a lemon. But your body thinks you did. So it produced the enzymes in your mouth in the form of spit. So this is how I tell the teens, you are what you think you are. So stop telling yourself negative things. Stop looking in the mirror, especially in front of your children, and saying, I'm fat. Or, whatever you're telling yourself. Oh, I wish I had this hair. Or, oh, look at her. I wish I had her body. Or look at him. I'm not going to get in a bathing suit around him. We don't realize how much our words impact our kids. And I really had to shift this thinking a long time ago. Before I ever started holistic health, I saw what an impact my perfection needs to be received by people had on my daughter. She looks like her dad a little bit, and she wants to look like me sometimes. I think she's beautiful. I think she's perfect. And the more I would say I wasn't, and all she saw was me being perfect, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop being who I am, but I certainly don't need to call out my imperfections when she sees me as perfect. So watch what you say around your kids, and watch what you say to yourself. Because just take the T off. You can change everything by thinking different and speaking different. So the mirror work that we talk about in the book is so powerful. Look in the mirror and tell yourself positive things every day. You are enough. You are made for greatness. I'm sitting here, an author of a book. When I was writing it, I certainly didn't think that it was going to be anything. And it doesn't have to be anything. It's exactly what I was led to do so that I could help change more lives than the people sitting in my chair. It was definitely ordained to do so. And I let go of whether it was going to be a huge success. I never thought about that. It wasn't about that for me. I knew I was given this download, so to speak, to give to the world. Whoever's supposed to see it will see it. And I'm enough to do that. You're enough to be who you want to be. And if you don't know what that is, it's time to get in touch with that. It's time to find out who it is you want to show up in this world to be, and what impact you want to leave behind, what legacy you want to leave behind. So affirmations in the book, make up your own. Whatever you need to hear, tell yourself. Make it the opposite of the negative talk you've been giving yourself. All right. This doesn't happen overnight. You have to build these muscles. If you didn't build them growing up, if nobody gave you this, I'm giving it to you tonight, but you're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to start doing using the tools and walking the walk and talking the talk. And change is difficult. We like to stay stuck even in our uncomfortableness, but trust me, just on the other side of that little bit of uncomfortableness that comes with changing something like giving up a food or an addiction, is such a peaceful place of power, of feeling like you've arrived at this place of, I know myself, I love myself, and others love me too and respect me. And if they don't, I don't care. It's just wonderful. So we're going to flip that switch for you, just like I flipped it in my grandson. So the tools you're going to use is setting your intentions before you speak, before you eat, before you relate to somebody else. You're going to set the intentions. You're going to ask yourself, what do I want my day to look like? How do I want to show up for this conversation? You know, armor up. I have a routine every day. Before I see patients, before I do anything, I put a little white angelica oil. I smell it. I put it over my body like I'm tracing an eggshell around me, and I come back to my heart and I say, let everything coming from me or towards me be of a frequency of love or above, or else let it be transmuted into the ground and recycled for good. I don't want to put anything negative on anyone, and I don't want their negative coming back at me, or else I can't do my job to be a good person, to evoke positive change and transformation in others, to help others see the love I see in them and be the love to others. I can't do that if I'm worn out and if I'm taking on their stuff. So get yourself some intention to be what you want to be. And if you put that out there every day and you set that intention, it comes to you. You have to get clear on what your intentions are. And you could do this, you know, before you speak. Do it before you eat. You know, prayer before you eat your food was birthed way long ago to transmute the food to be healthy, because it was full of dis-ease and parasites. So they pray and change the energy of the food that they were receiving. So there's a real ritual effect to that. You know, we can change and shift energy. When you walk into a room, and do this with teens all the time. My daughter's volleyball team, they were all kind of grumpy and aggravated with each other. And you know, last year I got them all together and I talked to them about, you know, their frequency and how they were each affecting. And, you know, it could be one or two people and a whole team of girls, and they all, you know, start acting the same. So you see that. Give me a yes to that. How many times do you see you walk into a room and you just feel the energy's off? You know it, you feel it, you can shift that. One person can shift that. Just think what all of us could do to shift the energy of our world. We actually can. That's a lot of what's happening right now. People are feeling off right now because there's such a huge shift to love and peace and acceptance and letting go of comparisons and judgments. And that's what I want you to do for yourself first, for the people you love, and for your world. You do this by thinking of things you're grateful for. Start every day and end every day with 3 things you're grateful for. In that mirror in the morning, think about 3 things you like about yourself, 3 things you're grateful for. We all, if you're on this call, you should be grateful. You have enough that you have a computer and you can log in and you can be grateful that you're here. There are some times when we get depressed and our chemicals in our brain are off and we can't think of a thing to be grateful for. And I tell my clients, have a list of 25 things. Just have it handy. Have a go-to. You know, I can think of my grandson's face and just get grateful real quick. I had a client that she ran into me in line somewhere, and it was a long line, and we got to talk, and she was in a really bad place. She was having a really bad time. And nothing I was saying was getting through because she was too toxic. And I said, okay, I need you to do something for me. I said, I need you to think of something your daughter, who I know she just adores, did that made you laugh. And she looked up and she started thinking and quickly started smiling. And she became rational again. There's the switch. It's that easy to flip it. You just have to have something in your back pocket to take out and use to flip it. So have a gratitude list, have, you know, a funny home video, something that you can bring yourself back to that time you were happy. And you can do this for your kids too. You know, recently I was so proud of my husband. My son talked to him. He was upset about something and relaying it back to a time when he was depressed and said, I just can't, you know, get out of it. And, I feel like I'm doing this thing again. And he said, yeah, but what happened then? He said, you did get out of it. And remember how good it felt when for him, it was for graduation. And quickly it allowed my son to think about his graduation and how proud he was, and changed the neuro pathway back to, I am enough. Yeah, I overcame that struggle. We're all going to have struggles. I'm not telling you you're not, I don't care who you are. Something's going to happen, good, bad, or indifferent. Struggle happens. It's how we bounce back, how we overcome, how we don't perpetuate that struggle in others by feeding the fume and the flames and making it worse. So taking breaths, journaling and burning, addressing situations before they get so big in your head that they're much worse than they are, and setting your intentions and being grateful. Use the tools. They work. I promise. And then rewriting the story, practice reframing those daily situations, following your instincts. A lot of times fear stops us from pursuing things that we want to pursue. I know a lot of you are in Young Living. You might say, oh, I want to have a party, but then, oh, nobody's going to come. Well, that first thought, oh, I want to have a party, was the right one. The nobody's going to come, or they don't want to do this on this night. Well, you're starting to attach stories to everybody's opinions that you don't even know. You haven't even asked. So that's a benign example of that. How many times do you not act on intention and regret it later? God gives us that intention for a reason. My son used to say, how do you know things? And I said, well, it's called mother's intuition. We just know. But you can practice and hone that skill and get really sharp at your intuition. I am so clear. I can sit with a client for 20 minutes and know what's wrong with them physically and mentally, and speak to it and help them snap back out of it pretty quickly. I wasn't always like that, but I got better and better and better, and I'm sure there's more to come. I want that for you. I want you to be your own patient advocate and be able to assess yourself, your physical well-being, your mental well-being, and shift. And you can. You really can with these practices. You really can. So if you feel something, say something. We talked about that. If you feel something's off, speak to it. Say, I'm feeling like this energy's off. Is there something going on that, I need to know about? Or did I say something that maybe offended you? I'm trying to be a better person. Let me know if there's, something going on. Come from the offense to get communication. Do that with your kids, your spouses. It really works. And if it doesn't, because they're in the defense, then that's on them. And you can call them out on that. Don't take it personally. It's not about you. So, who got something out of this? Because I didn't go into the medical, because I really didn't want to make this medical. I like the comments. Great. I want you guys to know that I'm not talking about being perfect. I'm talking about being the energy you want to see, because there is quantum physics. It does exist. And the physics say what you put out there comes back to you. So whether you're putting it out on the internet, what you're putting into your body, whether you're watching a bunch of news or a bunch of programming, that gets in you, and from somebody that, I quit college because I didn't think I was smart enough, because I couldn't learn the way they were teaching me. How many of you have kids that feel they're not smart enough and they're overwhelmed with school? Well, we're seeing that more and more, because a lot of kids don't learn the way they teach in school. We have to think of a new way. One of the ways is to give them the information ahead of time so that they can go on Khan Academy and kind of have a heads up. And then when they're in school, they can ask questions. When you're sitting there seeing something for the first time, it's hard to understand it. It's like you see a movie once and you see it the second time and you see so much more. Well, we don't get a first, second, third chance sometimes in school, and then we feel ashamed and we diminish ourselves. Where in life are we doing that as adults? Where have we carried that story on? now. We have podcasts, we have Audible books, which mine will be out soon. So all of you people that don't like to read that have asked me for an Audible, it's coming. I don't like to read. I never did. I have a learning disability. I'm okay with that. But in school, I didn't feel okay. And that comes up in adult life for us. And then it comes up and perpetuates in your kids, and it makes you feel that way again too. So there's a lot of these things that I can go really deep with and help you with, and also help your kids with, by just understanding you, validating you, and telling you these little bitty shifts you can make. Yes, supplements, oils, healthy living is part of the equation, and I can give you a complimentary plan that works with your genetics and your body so that you're not doing any harm to yourself or taking the wrong things, and work with what you have. The counseling, I do one-on-one counseling, very highly effective with that. And I'm going to start some group support. And this will be for groups of 4 to 8 people for 4 weeks, where we go deep into this work, and you can reveal situations and I can counsel you through them. Be transparent with a small group. And I feel that that tribe mentality, people get really close and people support each other. And it takes a village. It takes a village, especially now raising kids, and being in communion with other people is so important for our health and our well-being. We weren't meant to do this alone. We weren't meant to hide, behind closed doors and act perfect in public. We weren't meant to. We're meant to heal each other and share and be there for each other and build communities together. So I am here for you. The group support helps with living intentionally, finding your purpose, and rewriting your story to be the change you want to see in your life. So I want to thank all of you. Please connect with me. There's all my information. I'm all over the place. There'll be YouTube videos coming out. We have a lot of interviews that I've done. Please check out the Nicole Gibson interview, especially if you have teens or kids. Really resonates with my message. It's basically a lot of what I teach, but it's coming from a 25-year-old that was anorexic, and she and I go deep into that situation. So I want to end with a gift, and then I'll open it up. If anyone wants to say anything or talk to me, I'll be here. So I want to get you ready for bed though. So close your eyes, and I want you to feel what it feels like to relax and take some real deep cleansing, healing breaths. So everybody just relax where you are and close your eyes. Let your shoulders drop. Supportive back, but let your head be free if you can. And I want you to, with your eyes closed, I want you to look up towards the top of your skull. And take a deep breath in through your nose and sense and feel light coming in to the top of your crown. And I want you to feel a warm sensation, like a warm wax is coming down from the heavens through your crown, going down between your ears, going down your neck, through your throat, through the back of your spine. This hot, warm wax, not hot, warm wax is collecting all the debris, all the old thoughts, feelings that have no place in your body now, all the free radicals and toxins. It's like sweeping them up and taking them with them. It's going down your neck, down your chest, down your arms. Feel that warm sensation going through every finger, pumping back through your arms to your heart, unclogging any vessels, cleaning out the blood, going down into your esophagus, down into your stomach, going through your spleen and your pancreas and your gallbladder and your liver, taking all the sludge out, all the toxins, all the debris, going down your bladder and your kidneys, cleansing you, going down your pubic bone, entering both legs, going down your spine, down your legs, going around your knees, cleaning up any achiness, lubricating your joints. That warm feeling is going down your calves and your shins, entering your ankles, down your feet, into your toes, and out the bottom of your feet, pouring all the toxins out into the ground, deep into the surface, the crust of the earth, where it's recycled for good. And all the energy and minerals of the earth is rising back up into your feet, going up your tailbone and up your spine, up your neck, out the crown of your head, and connecting with the divine light above, and showering like a big rainbow of water, cleansing you, surrounding you, keeping you protected and safe from harm, and filling you with love. Sense and feel that big white light coming into your crown, shooting through your heart, and filling you with love that shines to others, and having it reflect from them back to you, so that we create the love we want to see and feel. And take a big breath in, fill up your gut, fill up your chest, fill up your throat, and let it go, slow and steady. Big breath in and big slow out. Big breath in and relax the head, neck, and shoulders. And slowly open your eyes. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for taking time for yourself. Thank you for trusting me to lead you in this class, in this meditation, in this mindfulness. You know, it takes attention and mindfulness to change things, but it's doable. And I wish all of you happiness, but more than that, I wish you peace and joy, compassion and love, so that you can share that and spread that and have it reflect